Hello there. Namaste. I'm so full of shit about that. Anyway, this is Whack-A-Mole, number 177, a compact disc edition. Whack-A-Moles are when I usually pull 5 random vinyl records and I share them with you. I figure when I do CDs, I should pick 10 because they're smaller. I don't know if there's a logic there. It's still an album, but I pulled 10. But before I get into the Whack-A-Moles, a little bit of a little background of something I've been working on the last week or so. I have a garage full of these boxes of magazines. Virtually every magazine starting 1964 that the Beatles are on the cover, at least the American magazines. I'm sure I've missed some, but some of my favorite ones, I decided to, I'm going to finally archivally sleeve them and preserve them because there's like pH things in paper and, you know, they can get mildewed and all that kind of groovy, badly groovy stuff, anti-groovy stuff. So I've ordered some sleeves, archivally treated sleeves and backings. So I'll show those after, but I wanted to just show one right now just for fun. Since we're celebrating, when I'm recording this in February 2024, we're celebrating 60th anniversary of the Beatles and the British invasion, them arriving. So here's one magazine. I don't know if you, those of you might remember the Saturday Evening Post. This is my original copy. I mean, there's a little bit of some kind of, looks like water damage. I don't know where that came from. Moisture, wetness. From March 21st, 1964, 20 cents for the magazine. And it says exclusive original Beatle fiction by John, the married Beatle. If you think their music bugs you, read this. I'm sure they're referring to In His Own Right. I need to look that up. And then it says here, the headline here is the byline, The Secret of the Beatles, an intimate account of their American tour and a probing analysis of their incredible power to evoke frenzied emotions among the young. I was 9.5 when I bought this. And then there's another article here. The man who made a fortune from religion, Speaker McCormick, next in line for the White House. See, they're still selling religion. It's such a con, at least organized religion. If you have faith, I'm not dissing you. Believe in whatever God or no God you want to. But do you have to pay for it? Do you have to organize it? Do you have to pay? Is there a club membership card? I don't think so. My opinion. Anyway, I will do an upcoming video when I get these magazines archived, and I'll do a little kind of showcase. But I think that is so cool. What a great, great photograph. God, who took this photograph? I should tell you and share that, because as a photographer's agent, I think I need to tell you this. Where is the byline? I'm looking at the byline here. All the articles and the contributors and fiction and photography. Wow, some cool photographers. But I got to see where the cover photograph is credited. John Zimmerman. Traveling the Beatles were taken during their historic stay in New York by John Zimmerman. Anyway, there you go. Okay, I'll do 5 and 5, okay? So you get a little breather, you can take a bathroom break or a coffee break or do a shot. 5, first 5. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here's the first 5. Ooh. The Piper, Dates Have Gone by Pink Floyd. First album, right? First album. You know, the single they did was produced by the American, the expatriate, Joe Boyd, who produced their first single. And he had brought blues artists and produced them in, produced their live shows in the UK. And then Joe Boyd was a partner in the UFO Club in London. Pink Floyd was the house band. But unfortunately, once they got signed, EMI needed to use their staff producers, so they produced it in-house, and I think it was Norman Smith, right, who was engineering for the Beatles, started producing them. Obviously, this has Astronomy Domine, Lucifer Sam. I mean, this is obviously Scarecrow and Bike. This is, what a great record this is. Anyway, on compact discs, you know, I don't really have to say very much of that, but I like almost all periods of Pink Floyd. I think The Wall, the one that would start thinning for me with Roger Waters, yelling voice. I do like it, but I call it their disco record. We don't need no. Okay. Now, this is the big breakout by Tom Petty. This was on MCA Records. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I have a love-hate of this period of time because this is Damn the Torpedoes, and I worked for ABC when his first two albums were coming out, and I was promoting mainly his second album, Listen to Your Heart, that single. And then MCA bought ABC. I lost my job. I was hired back a month later to work on a transition. I think I worked not quite a year for MCA, and this is the one. Now, this is the one where MCA tried to cram a higher list price and stuff, and Tom Petty, all the balls to him, man, balls to the wall, said, I signed to ABC, not you, and don't charge more, and you know all that. But I think Jimmy Iovine, and and then Shelley Yakis, great engineer, worked on this record. Of course, this is the huge breakout album. So I'm glad it broke out. But after that 10 months of me at MCA, I got laid off again. That was the end of my record business career. But Refugee, Here Comes My Girl. I mean, this is a major album, and this is a wonderful rock pop album. Great songwriter, and we all miss Tom Petty, but there you go. Damn the Torpedoes, and Damn You. Oh, I'm really picking the hits here. This is when Fleetwood Mac, the third, fourth, 4.1 incarnation of Fleetwood Mac, when Lindsey and Buckingham joined. And I remember getting this produced by Keith Olsen. I love this record. Monday Morning, of course. Thank you, Bill and Hillary. They used that song. Was it Monday Morning, the song? Don't Stop. They kept playing over and over and over again after the inauguration of the Clintons in America. So maybe you people around the world don't know of that. But this is a fantastic album. I like this better than Rumors. Now, Rumors is a great album, of course. Fantastic record. That's the Cocaine album, or the More Cocaine album, recorded at the record plant in Sausalito. But this is a great, now this is one with the bonus tracks, the extra tracks. I think there was eventually a vinyl version of this out. But, you know, Say You Love Me, is that on here? Yeah, of course. When people talk about Fleetwood Mac, they talk about the guitar players, Peter Greens, the Bob Welches, the Jeremy Spencers, I can name them all. Obviously Lindsey Buckingham, and I'm missing, who am I missing? You know, you're yelling at it, but you're right. That's the thing. But when you realize it, the only constant in this band was a rhythm section, Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, basically Fleetwood Mac. It's amazing how a band had so many great incarnations, great periods. Everyone is fantastic. I tend to like the Peter Green, and then into, you know, Then Play On, and even into Kiln House and Future Games, and those are kind of my favorite period. But I can't deny the greatness of the Buckingham Nicks, and I think most people now attribute this their best. It's definitely most commercial and popish, but I kind of like the other stuff. But I like all their albums, and I saw them, I think, 3 times during this period. And I never saw the Peter Green period. I saw that after Peter Green left, unfortunately. But I would have loved to have seen Peter Green, never did. Great record, great record. 75, I think that was. Now, okay, faith and courage, Sinead O'Connor. You know, she was right. I know people got pissed off when she tore the Pope, but what that represented was happening in the Catholic Church and the abuse in the Catholic Church, she was absolutely right. Maybe to do it on Saturday Night Live, you know, but all, again, balls to the wall. And I was at the Dylan birthday, the anniversary thing at Madison Square Garden when she came out and people fucking booed. I thought they were friggin' assholes, personally. You know, Chris Christopherson came and walked her off, but that was a great show. I love her. I miss, you know, I mean, inner torture, you know. I should talk about her music, not her, that whole thing, but dancing lessons, hold back the night. Okay. What year was this? I forgot what year was it. I don't know what to say about this record. This has, I think this is the one of which it has some like dub and some reggae beats to it and things. You know, she's never made a bad album. Every album, and several albums were reissued over the last year on vinyl. So I am all in. I think I have everything by Sinead O'Connor, but what a great, a true artist. And I actually did love at the Grammys, the Annie Lennox tribute to her singing the Prince song. All right. Oh, this is interesting. This is kind of out of this. Okay, Where I'm Bound. This is kind of like a rambling album. This is Bob Gibson. He was that early, like 63, 64 folk singer. This is a reissue, Collector's Choice. My buddy Vernon worked for Koch, which is a distribution thing that distributed Collector's Choice and other labels, and I'd get all these promos of Collector's Choice reissues. Where I'm Bound, The Waves Roll Out, 12-string guitar rag. Great player, obviously. Did a lot of 12-string guitars at this period. I don't have to say specifically. I forget what his signature song was. It's not on this record, but his Town Crier's song. No, What Are You Gonna Do? Betsy and Pike, Fare Thee Well. I mean, Fare Thee Well, I think Fare Thee Well was sung in the, not Oh Brother Wilt Thou, the other folk movie that T-Bone Burnett kind of worked on the soundtrack, Inside Llewellyn Davis, the Coen brothers film up, kind of based on the King of McDougal Street. I'm blanking out there, but Bob Gibson, not someone who's remembered a lot today, but there you go. There's the first five. Next five. One, two. Gotta watch my footing here. 3. Watch the box sets, the frontal box sets. Sorry. 4. And 5. The Flying Flubinis. Okay. Oh. This is a later Pretenders record. It's funny, a lot of people jumped off the Pretenders train, but, you know, obviously Chrissie Hynde, I think, was Martin Chambers still at this point? This is about 10 years ago. Maybe this is 2015 to 16. I like this record a lot. This is produced by Dan Auerbach. Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. A little bit of a different sound, but, you know, Chrissie Hynde still has the voice, and it could be her and anyone else, and I would go for it. I love the Pretenders. So, later Pretenders album. That's the thing I hate about CDs. The type is so friggin' small. 216, 215, whatever. Anyway, Pretenders, and it's called Alone. You know, I was just talking to a few people about this period of Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard is one of those country artists like Merle Haggard, like Johnny Cash, like Dolly Parton, that for a while, Nashville, like, tossed them aside. They weren't the slick pop Nashville. They didn't want that old school. You know, in a way, in the 70s, that's kind of why Waylon and Willie, the Outlaw Rock, and Jesse Coulter, and Tom Paul Glazer, and the whole, you know, Austin and Texas thing was happening and big, where these sort of, they didn't play by the Nashville game. Of course, Willie Nelson comes from that and wrote songs for a lot of Nashville artists before he really became known on his own. But the period of time, like starting in the 90s, the best example that most people know about is Johnny Cash. Columbia Records, finally, they break apart. Johnny Cash and Columbia. Mercury Records, he does a series too that no one seems to know about. I know there was a box set came out a few years ago. I didn't get it, and I know only a little bit about that period, but it took Rick Rubin, a producer of rap, hip-hop artist, to reach out and bring him back literally from the dead in terms of a career. And that's why so many generations opened up to Johnny Cash, because of those American records. But also, as I said, Dolly Parton did a series of sort of folky country records on Sparrow, the smaller labels, not the major labels. And this is on, again, another Koch. I think Vernon gave me this, Audium on Koch. This is Merle Haggard, the Pierce Sessions. He did several of they're very folk country. I can't remember if other people play on this, but they're very intimate records, and they're really wonderful folk country records. I always loved Merle Haggard. I always loved his voice. I love his Capitol records with the Strangers. Fantastic albums, every single one. So here's one of the Pierce Sessions. This is the easy one. I mean, come on, Hunky Dory. David Bowie, this is a Royco discs. Now, some people think you need to get the RCA Red Book stuff. I'm fine with the sound of these. I don't think I had any of the RCA ones. This is Royco. Interesting that around this time, Bowie and Zappa and Elvis Costello all kind of licensed their catalogs to Royco discs out of the East Coast, New England, I think. Did some cool stuff. There was a great box set of Bowie stuff, a lot of alternate outtakes, and as well as some hits, deep cuts. And this is, I got the whole collection, I think, at the time. Hunky Dory, of course, with this, you know, the song Changes that everybody knows, and it's been played to death, but still a great record. Oh, You Pretty Things. I just love this. And for years, I didn't realize, Fill Your Heart. Listen to the piano on Fill Your Heart, the cover of that song. It's so beautiful, and I never realized for years it was Rick Wakeman. His piano playing. I love his acoustic piano playing, and forget the cape and the organ and all the Henry VIII wives and shit. He is so good on this record. And obviously, he did a lot of session work and worked on a lot of records. I know that, but for some reason, I remember a time for years I didn't know that, and when I actually paid attention and read that he was a piano player. The Ballet Brothers, and I mean, every song on here. That piano break on Fill Your Heart, I think, just, it sounds nothing like that. But David Bowie, what a great record. Now, this is a cool record too. Apple Records, Mary Hopkins. The connection to David Bowie, do you know what the connection is? Quick. She was married for a while to Tony Visconti, who would produce David Bowie and Osibisa and T-Rex and so many others. I mean, what a great producer. But this is an expanded CD. Of course, the big hit that Paul worked on with, Paul discovered her playing in a club or a venue in England, and a Scottish singer, beautiful, I think she's Scottish, but beautiful, beautiful voice. Very sort of light, but strong light, if that makes any sense. Yin and yang doesn't make sense either, does it? But I love it. Those were the days. Old song and that piano, that recording. Paul produced that. But what's great about this version, as I recall, this CD, is this the one? Yeah, there's a version. I think there's a version in Italian. There's one in German. I think it's an Italian version. Can't remember if it's on this one. She also has Happiness Run, the Donovan song, which I love her version of it. Blood Wind Blood One, which is a great song. Is it Blood One? Is that the song by Badfinger? I'm forgetting that. This ends up, and I can't remember if this was on the original album. Oh, Ken Scott, engineer. Paul did most of the production. Linda McCartney did the photo there. But she does a version of Showbiz. There's no business like show. I should have ended it with that. But anyway, fun stuff. And just, I love this stuff, folk rock stuff. Oh, this is interesting. I haven't heard this record in a long time. Loudon Wainwright III. Loudon Wainwright II was the editor of Life magazine. His father was the editor of Life magazine. If you pick up old copies of Life magazine, you'll hear the editorial, the intro. You'll read those, the column by Loudon Wainwright, I think the second. This is Loudon Wainwright III. I have all his records on Columbian and Atlantic Record, and then I just have some that are on different labels. What label was this on? I don't remember. This is an album. I think this is from the 90s, 1992. Of course, his son is Rufus Wainwright. His daughter is Martha Wainwright. And which is the other Wainwright daughter? I forgot. His two daughters, a son. He was married to Kate, one of the Marigolds, Kate McGarrigles, excuse me, one of the McGarrigle sisters. He was married to for some time. I mean, that whole family. Can you imagine being at Thanksgiving, that family, Christmas, everybody singing and playing? That's one reason I love Rufus's album, that my favorite album of last year, Folkocracy, because it's got this family feel of all these kind of people helping out. I think that should have won Best Folk Album. It was nominated as a Grammy. I don't really care about the Grammys. I know Joni Mitchell did that later live album. I think that was a sentimental favorite, and I love Joni Mitchell. I don't think that's the album that should have won for her, but so be it. That's what happened. But I don't really know all the songs on here specifically that I could tell you about. But anyway, Loudon Wainwright III. Check out, one of the songs that got FM play in the 70s is it's sort of a novelty song, but Dead Skunk in the Middle of the Road. But all those Atlantic records, all those Columbia records are really wonderful. So there you go, Loudon Wainwright. CD, Whack-A-Mole. You want more of these? I mean, it's for music, right? So whether the format, doesn't really matter if I'm talking about the music. I'm not talking about the little friggin' spin laser bullshit. And I realize I've only gotten 3 CDs, or I've only come across 3 CDs in all my collection in the, how many years has it been? 40 years? With some kind of rot or some kind of stop playing. So CDs last a friggin' long time. I mean, I guess depending how you store them, or just the nature of manufacturing. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, thanks for watching. And really, Mazzy loves you if you're nice to me.